Good morning, everybody. This is Dusty with the Fellowship Committee, and I am here with Jennifer and Ted Powell, the wonderful, creative minds that we have at our church. And we're going to find out some secrets about them today that you may or may not know. And then you can add to them if you want. We'll have comments below. Anyway, thank you for having me over here to your lovely home with
Thanks.
your grand puppies that are just
Yes.
wonderful.
Thanks for
And
coming.
we really appreciate getting to know you better. So, first question. When did you become members of our church and what influenced you to join our church?
We became members of the church, our church now, when we came back to Yankton after we'd gone to college at Yankton College. And at that time, I wasn't a member of the church, but we joined when we had children, went away, taught, and then Ted got offered the job here in Yankton. We came back and very familiar because of Yankton College with the church, and we decided to go. So that was pretty easy. Ted was playing at Sacred Heart, and so it was sometime half and half, but yeah, that was when.
Yeah. So, you joined the church before you were involved in the music ministry?
Yes. Oh, yes, yes.
I've been a congregational UCCer for all my life.
Okay, cool. So, did you grow up in Yankton?
No, I grew up in Weston Springs, up by Huron.
Okay. Okay, and where'd you grow up, Jennifer?
Verdigris, Nebraska,
All right.
home of the Colech days.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Sit. We have the puppies over here greeting me just in case.
Yes,
you
please
know.
excuse if they're interrupted by.
They're just beautiful.
They're very excited.
They're very
They
excited.
like having company.
They've
Sit
never been on
down.
TV before.
Down, Murphy.
Sit down, Murphy.
Sit.
Thank
Good
you.
girl. Good boy.
Lay down, down, down.
Good boy.
Stay.
Stay.
So, when did you become involved in the music ministry at our church?
We've been in the church music officially for 23 years, but we were involved with music before at the church before we joined, and there was the opening.
Cool. And so what's the most exciting thing you find about music ministry? I mean, what inspires you to keep doing it? Because you've been doing it for, what'd you say, 23 years?
I've been an organist for 52 years. We've had other church jobs, and what inspires us is never know what's going to happen on Sunday. It's always
There you go.
always a
That is
surprise
very
what
true.
really happens
You
and what
need
you
to
think
sit.
was going to happen.
Sit. Lay down. Stay. Stay. Down here.
You can edit this. Murphy, sit down.
Yep. So, when you were younger, you look back over your life and you say, gosh, I wish I would have, or I wish I could tell myself in the younger years something to do differently, what would that be? Or somebody else, advice you'd give? You've met a lot of people.
I think my advice would be to be brave. Don't worry about what others might think as much. Don't worry about what's the right. Well, we want to be the right thing to do, but be a little brave. Take a chance, take a risk. Eleanor Roosevelt, as one of my favorite sayings, said, "Do something that scares you every day." And then that's a great saying, and that's what I'd recommend. I think that's something important.
Not to be so worried what people think. That seems to be a lot easier in your life if you don't.
Yeah.
You took mine.
You probably take a lot of each other's a lot, I would think.
Occasionally.
So, how'd you get to school when you were young, Jennifer?
When I was young,
Yeah.
I would sometimes, usually I'd ride with my parents. Both of them were teachers, and
Okay.
they are in the school. And so, in fact, my mother taught me for like 4 or 5 years in my elementary career. But, yeah, they were both teachers, and I would usually ride with them. If I didn't ride with them, we lived at the top of a very, very, very tall hill in my hometown, Verdigris, and I'd have to walk, but I'd have to time it right because it took me a while to get down the hill and across town. the school. So, but they were still usually gone before I got there.
So you're a city kid.
Yeah, town.
Kid.
Yeah.
What about you, Ted?
I grew up on a farm/ranch, and we were 3 miles from town, but we went to the country school, which was 4 miles from town, because my parents wanted me to go to country school, and they drove me every day and picked me up.
Oh, wow. So what kind of farming did your family do?
Corn and wheat, and then a lot of pasture land
Okay.
with a lot of cattle, and we raised a lot of horses. One time we had 35 horses. My dad was kind of a cowboy.
Oh my goodness. So is the land still in your family?
Part of the land, my
Okay.
sister and I and Jennifer have.
I don't know if that's official yet or not.
We have the original homestead that's 120 years old.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So is the house you grew up in still?
Yep.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yep.
You're gonna have to take a road trip with us and give us a tour. That would be fun.
He'd love
That'd be
it.
fun.
Yeah.
He'd take you to all the cemeteries too. I'm just
Yeah.
warning you.
We just found out that there's a cemetery over in Nebraska where some of our relatives are
Oh,
buried.
really?
So I wanna go over there, great grandparents, yeah. Just found that out the other day, so
Cool.
I'm kind of excited about that.
We're about ready to go to England for a couple of weeks, and we're gonna go see where my grandmother's family came from.
Nice.
Two little villages, of which we'll have to rent a car to get there. There's no public transportation.
It's our biggest
But-
obstacle right now.
The church was built in the 1200s. I mean, it's a very old area.
Oh,
so
wow,
we're looking forward to that.
I bet. You guys have studied your heritage quite a bit then,
Yeah, I like genealogy
Okay.
a lot.
okay,
More so the stories.
yes.
I like, and when you go visit these places, it really doesn't mean anything because it's the past. But I like to know why did they leave there? Why did
Yes,
they come here?
Exactly.
And usually it's they were workers and needed land and jobs that brought them to the United States.
So did you find out how they heard about it? Was it just kind of word of mouth?
Jennifer's family, she can tell you how they heard about verdigris in Minnesota in the paper.
But now you stumped me. There's a lot of. My dad was a storyteller, and as my aunt says, every story he told, he wanted to make just a little bit better. And I think I married one. But anyway, well, I don't know, Minnesota. You tell the story.
Well, they read it in the Chicago and the Omaha papers.
Oh, verdigris. Yeah, you said Minnesota. They when they came over, when my grandfather's family came over, they settled in Chicago, like a lot of Czech or Bohemian people did, and then they heard about better land in Kansas, and so they went to Kansas, and on the way to Kansas, they ran into people that knew people in verdigris in another Czech or Bohemian community, and so then they came to visit and eventually moved there for several years, and then the family moved back to Chicago except for my grandfather, and he stayed in verdigris, and then that's where
Wow.
my folks were
So
met. My mom's from Bloomfield.
were people like sponsored by a church or something when they came? Why did they go to Chicago? I mean, or did they just know other people?
When we were in the Czech Republic, I kind of asked about that, and I did get some material. There was kind of a migration to the United States in like 2000. Well, when we were there, it was the anniversary of people coming to the United States, and so it was a big deal in the Czech Republic, or just immigrating out. And I think it was something, probably, I'm assuming famine or no work
Okay.
or something like that, because a lot of people came in that time period,
Yeah.
which was like the 1890s, I think. I think 1880s, 1890s. So,
Interesting.
The Powells came from Wales through England, landing in Long Island in the middle 1600s, of which they owned a farm on Long Island that was 5 miles wide, that I'm sure they paid nothing much for. They came early before,
Wow.
I'd like to go sometime go see
Yeah.
just see where it actually is, but I don't. Then they were in the Hudson River Valley, which was beautiful. And then they moved out here, but it was I'm sure for jobs,
Yeah. Yeah.
farm, homesteads.
Yeah.
When we were first married, one of those summers, we took a trip out to the East Coast to see where his family was from, and we drove clear back into the Hudson Valley. There's a little cemetery back there, and one of his relatives, or two of your relatives, I think, are buried there. So we went to see I told you you'd go, I told you you'd see all the cemeteries. We went back there to see the stones, the headstones, and we got back there and then drove out, and we drove out into the Hudson Valley, and it was a beautiful panorama, and ever so green and pretty, and of course we had just, come from, not just, but Wessington Springs, and Wessington Springs, if you've ever been there, it's kind of like a flat, a little sparse in the vegetation, whatever, and I just looked at him and I said, why did they move?
Right?
Why didn't they stay?
Exactly.
But I'm glad they did.
The Powells were Quakers, and they raised
okay.
racehorses.
Huh.
So there you go.
So your dad inherited it.
Had a lineage, yeah.
Yeah.
So horses have been part of you. I should have had you out to train these darn horses.
I kind of left that part. I still like them, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, were you guys involved in activities in school, high school, college?
My dad was a band director,
Oh wow.
and all my family, in fact, all his siblings, except for with the exception of one, it sometimes taught band and so music, and so I just kind of felt I had to be in band. I mean, that's good, and choir and everything. But I also was the student manager for the volleyball team.
All right. There you go.
I was involved with FFA, choir, band. I played football for 3 years of high school, and then into my junior year, I noticed that the band kids seemed to be having a lot of fun. So the next year, I was only in band, so. And it was not a loss to the football team at all. At all.
So, when did you guys know that you were going to go into the careers that you went into? Like, have you always wanted to do what you do?
Music was always important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I got that from my mom and grandmother.
What did your grandma like?
Just housewife,
Just like, yeah.
farm wife.
Yeah.
Oh, I've always, it's always been part of my life because of the family background, and it just seemed, I guess, natural. Although I had done some research in other careers and done some things, I decided to go
Yeah.
continue with music. And then after we got married and had children, then it was, I won't say it was easier, but it was a little easier for me to manage
Mm-hmm.
with the
Where did
kids.
you go to college? Yankton College,
Both
right?
of us went to
Okay,
Yankton
okay,
College, yeah.
okay. That seems to be turned out quite a few wonderful folks. I love.
Yeah.
It was a great school when we were there.
Yeah. Right. So, what did your grandparents do, Jennifer?
My father was a rural postman,
Yeah.
and my father's parents were rural postmen and, of course, housewife, or that's my grandmother, and she played church organ, though, for a time. My grandfather also was a band director. He went to World War I as a musician down
Oh,
in
wow.
Kansas, and then came back and directed the town band for a number of years. And then my other grandfather was a railroad telegraph operator. We have a great picture of him in his outfit. He was a Johnson. He was pure Swede, and he and my grandmother then lived in Bloomfield, but he was then he became a farmer when he got married. So, yeah,
Wow.
he did a lot of things.
All these things that developed our country come from your heritage, so that's kind of pretty cool to think about. So how did you guys meet?
Yankton College,
Okay.
music classes.
Yep.
And then the fairy tale began.
I see. Yay.
Yeah, sort of.
So, did you get married here in town?
No, we got married in Verdigris
Okay.
in the St. Wenceslaus Church.
All right. Did you have a big wedding?
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty big.
Kind of a big, kind of sort of, kind of checked Verdigris a little bit, influenced through it. Big meal,
Okay.
you know, big meal in the church basement
Okay.
afterwards, and then we had a little dancing party up at the parents' house in the backyard,
Really?
and the uncles sang and they played instruments, and it was fun.
It
Family
was
band kind of
sounds
thing.
lovely.
It was fun. It really was.
What time of year did you get married?
July, end of
Oh.
July.
Okay. So you got an anniversary coming up.
We do.
Yeah.
We
That's
should be
awesome.
in his ancestral town when it happens.
Oh, how fun is
If
that?
we get a car and if we get there.
Yeah, exactly.
We have the hotel, that's all set, but.
Yeah. I get that. So, if you were
Murphy.
gonna tell me something besides what you've already told me about yourselves that people don't know, what would it be?
I was assistant manager of a wax museum in Keystone for a year.
Fun.
It was a great job. It was awesome. Everybody was coming through. You know, it was in Keystone, and people on vacation, they were ready to spend money, and so it was just fun.
Oh, neat.
Then
What
I-
was your favorite figure? Did you have one?
I like Thomas Jefferson. He was
Ah.
the lady I worked for was her name was Catherine Keller, and she was the family of wax, not Madame Tussauds, but she had a couple in London in her
Oh, wow.
museum, and then they made some of the wax figures for the Ten Commandments movie.
Neat.
So that was really fun to meet her.
I bet. Jennifer?
When I was in college, my senior year, homecoming, for a number of reasons, I guess, but we didn't have a football team at Yankton College for a year. And so, some friends of mine and a team of women, we all stepped in and we played college football. Flag football, but college football.
I love it.
Yeah, I used to tell people I played college football, and then they go, well, yeah, and I see like, maybe I'm not gonna tell people this anymore. It's funny, but yeah, we had a good time. It was a really good time. We were the Red Hot Mamas.
I see.
Yeah,
Well, there you go.
And we have pictures to prove it.
yeah, we do, unfortunately, but yeah.
So first jobs were what?
Actually, I worked in a nursing home in college. Nancy Nursing Home here in town. It's no longer there, but my roommate and I did the night shift, and so yeah.
I moved to Huron right after graduation, and I worked in a piano store.
Wow. So, something in your life that changed you. Besides this dog.
It's a dog. You should get an award for this, Dusty. After entertaining the poor grand dog. Yeah.
Yes.
Something in my life. Having children.
Okay.
And come here. Okay, there goes the TV.
Edit.
Come here. Sit. Sit.
Okay, we're,
He doesn't listen to me either. Listens to you better than me. There, good boy. You're a good girl. Oh, you move it over.
change your.
Sorry.
Did it stop?
No, she
No,
was
it's
just wiggling with her nose.
Okay.
Yeah. Something
So-
that changed my life.
Yeah.
Having children,
Yeah.
it becomes not only you managing and everything involved. I have a picture. Used to have a picture in my office of a lady, and she has like about 90 different things hanging off of her, and she has a light, and it's a wonderful picture. But it's it kind of sometimes felt like that when I was
Yes.
a mother with four kids. But that's been a wonderful experience. It's just something that changed my life.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably having cancer kind of changed a few things in our life, my
Yeah.
life. Made you kind of look at things a little differently.
How long ago was that?
11 years ago? About 11 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet. Well, is there anything else you wanna tell me about besides these lovely puppies?
We apologize very much for these dogs.
Yeah. Dusty's
Well,
wonderful with
The
the
lucky
dog.
thing is that I have 4, so it doesn't
Yeah,
really matter.
yeah. Oh, good heavens.
No,
But
it's
You
fun.
good?
Our job at church is fun. We like the people in church.
yeah, and we love our church. I think for a small church, compared to some of the other congregations in town, I think we do a tremendous amount of things. And I like the spirit of motivation and energy in the church. People
Yeah.
work hard in this church.
Yeah, they do.
And stick together, and so that's really wonderful. So, yeah, I love that.
Yeah. I've loved it too. It's been a really wonderful group of welcoming people.
Yeah.
And everybody always mentions the choir, so hats
Oh,
off to
we
both
love
of
the
you.
choir. They are wonderful people.
Yeah.
That's where our life is.
Yeah.
They're good
Yeah.
people. Well, and so is the church, but
Right,
the
right.
choir.
Exactly, the choir.
Excellent.
Everybody loves it, whether you're in it or listening to it, and we thank you both for everything that you give to us too.
It's our pleasure, believe me.
Yeah, it's good to have a job that you enjoy.
Yep.
You know, we're very, very lucky when that happens in our lives, so thank you both for having me today. And, we'll look forward to hearing more from both of you every Sunday. It's wonderful. And I'm glad you are getting to go and spend your anniversary
Yeah,
with
that'd be fun.
the memories of former folk that created you. So thanks a lot for having us today and sharing yourselves with us.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dusty.